Hello everyone. We're still talking about the digestive system, primarily the digestive glands and the spleen. In the previous section of this lecture, we talked about the liver and the gallbladder. Now we will be talking about the clinical correlates of the liver and the gallbladder. This section has been divided into such conditions which occur due to developmental anomalies of liver or the gallbladder. Let's see what these developmental anomalies are. So first of all, we have a Riedel's lobe. So what is a Riedel's lobe? This referring to the figure, on the right side of the figure we have a right lobe. This is the liver. This in black is the liver. On the right side we have the right lobe of liver. On the left side we have a left lobe of the liver. From the right lobe of liver, here you can see there's a tongue-like protrusion. This is known as the Riedel's lobe. Now let's see what Riedel's lobe actually is. It's a tongue-like extension from the right lobe of liver. It develops as an extension of the normal hepatic tissue from the inferior margin of the right lobe. So here you can see it is being developed as from the normal hepatic tissue from the inferior margin of the right lobe of the liver. So moving on, we have polycystic disease of the liver. So from the name it's clear, poly is multiple, cyst is dilation, so there would be multiple cysts within the liver. Since liver is an organ that is full of conducting channels, so there would be a lot of cysts in the liver, as a result of which the liver would be nodular in structure. So there's failure of union of some biliary ducts. So biliary ducts are there, but they fail to unite, as a result of which there is the formation of cyst within the liver, because the fluid content would be accumulating within this within these ducts, which are not connected to other ducts. So they would be blind-ended channels in which this fluid or the bile would keep on collecting, and usually this is associated with the cystic disease of kidney and the pancreas. So mostly this polycystic disease of the liver is not an individual occurrence, but it occurs in unison with the polycystic disease of kidney as well as the pancreas. Here in the figure you can see these are the large cystic areas which can be seen in the liver parenchyma, and most likely they are due to accumulation of the bile within the unattached or unconnected biliary ducts. So intrahepatic biliary atresia. We talked about this, the liver parenchyma that forms from pars hepatica is responsible for formation of intrahepatic bile ducts and bile canaliculi. So what happens in biliary atresia? Biliary atresia is actually tightening. So here in the figure you can see this is the tightening. However, this figure shows the extrahepatic biliary atresia because this is tightening in the extrahepatic biliary tissue. Intrahepatic biliary atresia can only be seen histologically, because you cannot have a naked eye view of what is happening within the liver itself. But for the purpose of understanding, this is how the tightening occurs within this biliary tree or biliary tissue. So it is a very serious condition that occurs due to obstruction of the bile ducts. So bile ducts are being obstructed at this point, and this results in cirrhosis, that is shrinkage of the liver in infants. So if an infant comes to you with a cirrhotic liver, your differential must include intrahepatic biliary atresia. So moving on, we have the Caroli's disease. So what happens in Caroli's disease? So it is characterized by congenital dilations. These are dilations in the biliary tree which are congenitally present. This is the intrahepatic biliary tree. Obviously, this is the region, this is the biliary tree that lies within the liver. It may lead to the formation of sepsis, stones, and even carcinoma. So how does that happen? There are dilations within the bile channels. As a result of these dilations, the bile is accumulated in these channels. The accumulated bile becomes stagnant, and this stagnant bile may be a site of sepsis, a site of stone formation, or even there may be metaplasia leading dysplasia and finally carcinoma. So it is important. So other conditions that may affect liver is a rudimentary liver, which in a condition in which a normal liver has not been formed. Absence of the quadrate lobe of liver, it's a lobe of liver that may be absent, and presence of accessory liver tissue in the falciform ligament, again a developmental anomaly. Some ectopic liver or accessory liver is present within the falciform ligament. Now moving towards the anomalies of the gallbladder. So agenesis of gallbladder. Agenesis means lack of formation. So there's absence of formation of gallbladder. So something happened with the hepatic bud being forming the pars cystica. So if pars cystica from the hepatic bud fails to develop, gallbladder and cystic duct will not develop. Obviously, the pars cystica was responsible for the formation of gallbladder as well as the cystic duct. When this is not formed, so gallbladder and the cystic duct will not be formed. So moving on, absence of cystic duct. Here you can see this gallbladder is directly attached to the bile duct, and there is no cystic duct. So such a gallbladder that lacks a cystic duct is known as a sessile gallbladder. It does not have a cystic duct. It occurs when the entire growth of cells of the hepatic bud they form the gallbladder. There was a pars cystica from the hepatic bud. This pars cystica was responsible for the formation of gallbladder as well as the cystic duct. However, when the entirety of cells of the pars cystica form only the gallbladder and there is no formation of a duct, then its gallbladder is attached directly to the common bile duct as shown in the figure. This is known as absence of cystic duct. The gallbladder is called a sessile gallbladder because it does not have a cystic duct. So the gallbladder drains directly into the common bile duct and is known as the sessile duct. Calling it a common bile duct may not be the correct thing because common bile duct is formed by the union of the cystic duct and the common hepatic duct. Since there is no cystic duct, so it's a hepatic duct which is actually carrying the secretions of the gallbladder. So now we move on to the anomalies of shape in the gallbladder. So a Hartmann's pouch. So Hartmann's pouch is formed when the posterior medial wall of the neck of the gallbladder projects downward. So this is the posterior medial wall of the neck of the gallbladder. It is projecting downward, so it forms a Hartmann pouch. It may be adherent to the cystic duct or even to the common bile duct. So it can be adherent to the cystic duct due to close anatomical position and even to the common bile duct. So gallstones are usually lodged in this pouch because of its site. So what is a Phrygian cap? We are still talking about the anomalies of shape. So it occurs when the fundus of gallbladder folds upon itself to form a cap-like structure. So here you can see the fundus of gallbladder is folding upon itself and it forms a cap-like structure. This is known as the Phrygian cap. The gallbladder can have a septum in it, or there could be two separate gallbladder if the septum completely divides this gallbladder. So we can have a septate gallbladder and a double gallbladder. So moving on, now we have the anomalies of the extrahepatic biliary ducts. So We can have absence of the entire extrahepatic biliary ductal system. This is the absence of entire extrahepatic biliary ductal system, has something to do with the pars hepatica. Then we can have the atresia of the bile duct. So their common hepatic duct has been formed. The cystic duct drains into common hepatic duct to form the bile duct. Now their atresia or tightening of the bile duct. Now we can also have accessory bile duct. In accessory bile duct, the bile may drain not only through the bile from the this gallbladder may drain not only through the cystic duct but also through the accessory duct into a lobe of liver. And then we can have choledochal cyst. Choledochal cyst is actually an area of thinning within this bile duct that forms a cystic swelling. It can sometimes accumulate 2 liters of bile and can be a site of pressure, and this pressure can finally obstruct the biliary tree. So this was all about the clinical anomalies of a gallbladder as well as the liver. I hope you enjoyed and understood them. For further such lectures, keep watching sqadia.com.